I'm going to say what a lot of people are too scared to admit. Xbox's grand multi-platform strategy has been a catastrophic failure. They haven't opened up gaming as they claim. They've devalued their own console, confused their core audience, and are in the process of handing a massive victory to PlayStation. These guys are the same fucking fans that are adoring Messi. And the worst part, Sony knows it. While the team at Microsoft was busy talking about a utopian future where every screen is an Xbox, they forgot the single most important rule of the console business. You have to give people a reason to buy your box. Hey everyone, Alonso here, and today we've got something really interesting happening in the gaming world. For years, we were told this was a brilliant, forward-thinking pivot. It was a move away from the petty console wars and towards an enlightened, player-first ecosystem. A story of accessibility, of breaking down walls, if you will. But now, here in mid-2026, the data is in. The numbers are telling the story, and the strategy looks less like a masterstroke and more like a slow-motion surrender. It's starting to look like a death spiral, and the worst part is, they did it to themselves. Let's be fair for a moment and go over to the official story from Microsoft, by the way. The vision was to build a future where Xbox is everywhere. On your console, your PC, your phone, maybe even on a competitor's hardware. On your little screen that pops up in a bathtub, I don't know. The engine of this strategy was, of course, Game Pass. It was pitched as the Netflix for games. It was an irresistible value that made the hardware itself secondary. The console wasn't the castle anymore. It was just one of many gates to the kingdom. The plan was to reach more players than ever by putting their games everywhere. And in a way they did. Look at Sea of Thieves. When it launched on PlayStation 5, it became the most downloaded PS5 game in Europe for April 2024 and shot up to the second spot on the US bestseller charts for the week ending April 27th. Go and Google it. It was a financial success that proved there was a hungry audience for Xbox games on Sony's machine. This was held up as proof the strategy was working. More players, more money, more engagement. On the surface, sounds perfect. But this is where the fairy tale ends. Because while Xbox was celebrating software sales on rivals' platform, the foundation of its own hardware business was cracking. The short-term cash from selling games to PlayStation owners has come at a huge long-term cost. The erosion of the Xbox brand and the devaluation of its hardware. The numbers are just brutal. Okay? While Microsoft stopped reporting specific unit sales, third-party analysts paint a grim picture. Estimates for January 2026 place the PlayStation 5's global sales at around 90 million units, while the Xbox Series consoles were struggling at roughly 34 million. It's almost a third. That's a staggering market share of over 72% for PlayStation. In the 12 months leading up to that point, the PS5 reportedly outsold the Xbox by nearly 15 million units. The gap wasn't closing, it was widening at an alarming rate. I mean, remember when PS5 came out, Xbox came out, you couldn't get a PS5 to save your life because they just, underproduced and overpromised. And then you would go to the store and it's like, hey, can I get a PS5? And they're like, no, but we have an Xbox. And you're like, okay, then I won't buy one. Microsoft's own financial reports tell an even direct story. In its Q3 2026 earnings, Microsoft revealed that Xbox hardware revenue had plummeted by a massive 33% year over year. This wasn't a one-off. It was a part of a long-term trend of steep declines, with drops of 29% and 32% in two preceding quarters. Even the supposed growth engine, content and service revenue, which includes a Game Pass, by the way, saw a 5% decline in that same quarter. You don't need to be a financial analyst to see what this means. Fewer people are buying Xbox consoles, and the problem is getting worse. Microsoft's own CFO even forecasted further declines. This brings us to the most devastating consequence of Xbox's strategy. It has systematically taught the world that you do not need to buy an Xbox. Think about it. For decades, the logic was simple. You bought a Nintendo to play Mario and Zelda. You bought a PlayStation for God of War and Final Fantasy, maybe Horizon. And you bought an Xbox for Halo and Gears of War. Exclusives were the system sellers. They gave each platform its identity and, most importantly, its reason to exist. Microsoft torched that model. Their message, intended as play anywhere, has been interpreted by the market as just wait and play it on PlayStation. Why would the average gamer whose friends are all on the PlayStation Network invest in a Series X when they can just be patient? The success of Sea of Thieves on PS5 isn't a victory for Xbox, it's a victory for patience. It tells gamers that the best experiences from the other platform will eventually come to the console they already own. This problem is becoming exponential. We're not just talking about smaller, older games anymore. Widespread industry speculation now suggests that even a tentpole title like Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is slated to come to PS5 after a period of exclusivity. And then there's the crown jewel, the franchise that built Xbox, Halo. The idea of Master Chief on a PlayStation was once a fanboy fantasy, one that felt maybe icky to some. In 2026, it's a reality. It has been officially announced that Halo Campaign Evolved, a remake of the original game, is launching on PS5 day and date with Xbox and PC. Dummy boxes for the game have even been spotted in retailers, a bizarre sight for anyone who lived through the console wars. Whether it's a one-off test or a full commitment, the cultural line has been crossed, and there's no going back, baby. When the very symbol of your brand appears on your rival's box, you're effectively surrendered your unique value. Xbox is no longer a platform, it's becoming a publisher for the market leader. Bear with me here. It's like you go to McDonald's and then you get, a Whopper. It's weird. This leads to the second major disaster, the complete erosion of the Xbox brand. What does it even mean to be an Xbox gamer in 2026? A decade ago, it meant you were part of the home to online multiplayer. Today, the brand is a confusing fog. Is it an Xbox a console, a subscription service, a PC store, a cloud streaming app? By trying to be everything to everyone, Xbox has become nothing specific to anyone, really. This isn't a strength, it's a critical failure of focus. A strong brand is a promise. PlayStation promises prestige, blockbuster cinematic games. Nintendo promises imaginative, family-friendly fun. Xbox used to promise the best place for online competition. Now, its promises convenience, access, games. That's a functional benefit, not an emotional one. Nobody gets excited about access, they get excited about worlds and characters they can't get anywhere else. The multi-platform strategy has turned Xbox strengths into a source of confusion. The very fact that Halo is officially coming to PlayStation shows how far the brand's unique position has fallen. The market has been conditioned to see Xbox not as a premium, distinct ecosystem, but as a content farm for more successful platforms. This creates a vicious cycle. Weak brand identity leads to lower hardware sales. Lower hardware sales shrink the install base. A smaller install base makes it harder to get third-party exclusives and makes it more tempting for Microsoft to seek revenue by putting their games on PlayStation, which further weakens the brand. This is the definition of a death spiral. And this is where the final nail is hammered in, not by Xbox failures, but by PlayStation's success. For years, as Xbox went borderless, many predicted Sony would be forced to follow. They claimed the future was multi-platform and Sony's walled garden was a relic. They were wrong. While Xbox was diluting its brand, Sony was watching and doubling down on what made them the leader, what made them special. According to reports in May 2026, PlayStation Studios head Herman Hulst affirmed in an internal town hall that the company's major narrative-driven single-player games will remain exclusive to the PlayStation console. Ouch. This isn't a pivot, it's a declaration. Sony has seen the results of Xbox's experiment and it's choosing the opposite path. They'll continue to use PC releases for older titles and live service games to generate extra revenue. But the core value of PlayStation, its prestige single-player exclusives, is being protected. They know that games like Marvel's Wolverine or the next Ghost of Tsushima are why people will buy a PS5. Giving that up wouldn't be opening up gaming, it would be strategic suicide. This is a checkmate move. Sony is not following Xbox into a borderless future, they are decisively rejecting it. They're telling the world that if you want to play the most celebrated single-player games, you need a PlayStation, period. It's a clear, powerful message that stands in stark contrast to Xbox's modeled identity. Sony is using PC as a supplemental income stream, not a replacement for its console ecosystem. I can already hear your furious typing. But what about the Game Pass? It's about stealing gaming. Hardware doesn't matter. For years, Game Pass was the shield against all criticism. Any weakness in hardware sales was deflected by pointing to subscribers' numbers. This was a service that would make hardware irrelevant, except that narrative is also falling apart. Bear with me. First, that once explosive growth has slowed. After hitting 25 million subscribers in early 2022, Microsoft stopped regularly reporting the numbers. Weird? Well, some analysts' estimates from early 2026 suggest the number has climbed to around 35 to 37 million. The trajectory has clearly flattened. One analysis even pointed to a period where only about 1 million new subscribers were added over a tough 15-month stretch. The service is no longer the unstoppable juggernaut it was portrayed as. Second, the value proposition is being chipped away. We've seen significant price hikes for the ultimate tier. More telling, though, is the wavering commitment to day one releases for its biggest titles. After acquiring Activision Blizzard, the promise was that its biggest franchise, Call of Duty, would be a day one Game Pass title. Yet, recent reports and internal debates suggest Microsoft is reconsidering this, with some claiming future titles may not be included at launch to avoid cannibalizing massive direct sales. When you start carving out exceptions for your biggest game, you're admitting the everything day one model isn't completely sustainable. It sends a message that Game Pass is great, but not so great that it can interfere with the guaranteed blockbuster's revenue. The shield has cracks, admit it. Game Pass is an excellent service, yes, but it can't be the sole pillar of a hardware ecosystem, especially when its own long-term strategy seems to be in flux. It's like saying, 8 Ballon d'Or for Messi. It doesn't make sense. The road Xbox has traveled is paved with good intentions, okay? A unified gaming experience across all devices is a noble vision. But in the brutal reality of the market, this vision has been executed as a strategic blunder. They have devalued their hardware, teaching consumers to buy their games on a competing platform. They have eroded their own brand identity, turning the name Xbox into a vague label for a collection of services. All the while, their chief competitor has watched their missteps and used them in their advantage to reinforce its own dominant strategy. PlayStation is winning not just by having great exclusives, but by understanding what Xbox forgot. A console is not just hardware. It's an identity, it's a destination, it's a promise that this place is worth investing your time and money in because it offers something you can't get anywhere else. By abandoning that core principle, Xbox has abandoned the very thing that made it a worthy competitor. They haven't ended the console wars, they just simply unknowingly surrendered. Hit the like button like you're speedrunning the game, and thanks for hanging out, by the way, you absolute beast. Subscribe if you want more gaming breakdowns, and let me give you this. If you're mad at me, then you're probably that person that says that Krillin cannot just one kill the Naruto verse. Are you? Are you? Because let's be honest, Krillin clears, okay? Now for real, subscribe if you want more gaming breakdowns, deep dives, and industry updates. Here's another gaming quest right here. So go ahead and jump into the next video, but before you leave, what do you think? Am I right, or have I completely lost it? Is a multi-platform strategy a brilliant long-term play that I'm too blind to see, or has Xbox signed its own death warrant? Let me know in the comments down below. I do love reading your comments. Thanks for gaming with me, and I'll catch you in the next one.